Hey, so Amazon FBA aggregators. All you need to know. In this video, you're going to discover what is an Amazon FBA aggregator, why you need to know about this, how to work with them, how to compete with them, and a bunch of other stuff, and pretty much everything you need to know about Amazon FBA aggregators. And today, I have guys from Accel Club, which are an Amazon FBA aggregator. We have Klim and Nick here today, and they're going to be with me today presenting this for you. Going to be very interesting. I do recommend you listening to all this presentation because, yeah, it's just going to be very, very beneficial for you if you're selling on Amazon or about to sell on Amazon. Guys, Nick, Klim, can you introduce yourselves to us, please, and let's then dive into the content.
Yeah, hey guys. Well, thanks for this opportunity to talk to speak to the audience. My name is Nick. I'm one of the co-founders of Accel Club. We started like pretty much a year ago in this space. Klim is our business development manager, so helping us to grow really fast. It's really important, for any Amazon seller today to know what is aggregator. Because like Amazon is changing a lot in recent years. There is like 100 different Amazon aggregators all across the globe, which is like changing the landscape and changing competition and changing all the opportunities and risks that you have like in the space. So yeah, like as Vova said, like it's really important to know that what is that, and we really will be glad to talk about that, about our experience, about experience to our competitors and the space overall, and share like insights and maybe some tips that will help you to run your business. So yeah, let's then start. Can you just like click next? Yeah. So what we would like to talk today is like talk a little bit like about us, talk what's the aggregator, and talk why you should know about that, talk about like what it means for you exactly for your business. Definitely, as maybe a lot of like that aggregators is buying businesses. So this is also like very important to understand when it's like right time to exit your business, to sell business to Amazon aggregator or any other counterpart, and how to prepare your business for the exit. And also we'll discuss like standard terms, exit terms, and how the process looks like. Okay.
Nick, man, but what is an Amazon FBA aggregator? Maybe people are like, okay, it sounds interesting. We have so many things, aggregators. What is that? What does it mean? Like, because first when I heard it, I didn't really know what that means until I was digging a little bit and to understand, but let's make it easier for our viewers. What's that?
Yeah, so aggregators like all across like the customer today, there's a lot of aggregators. Yeah, like any Uber or any other like app is also like to some extent like aggregator. But like in Amazon space, FBA aggregators or Amazon aggregators, this is the companies that are doing like roll ups. So what they're doing, they are buying successful Amazon sellers, like Amazon third-party sellers, and building their portfolio of brands, portfolio of products, not like launching them, but on like M&A strategy. So they buying all the like from the smallest sellers to the biggest one in the marketplace and building their own portfolio of products and brands. So this is like why they call like aggregators, because they aggregating like much fragmented market, like much fragmented Amazon space.
So they take existing businesses on Amazon in different niches and categories, and then they grow them pretty much. That's the idea of an aggregator. So you have experienced talent with you, and you know what is Amazon, you have experience, so you take businesses that are already on the marketplace, and you even make them bigger, better, improve them as well. Okay, pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So in terms of like how it works, so definitely there's like some economies of scale. So like when you have like the businesses and you have like let's say 10 SKU or you have like 10,000 SKUs, you can like operate them much like smoothly. Definitely you need to have like talents, you need to have like tools, you need to have like some process in the place. Because more like SKUs you have, like it's like more processes that should be like in the place. But if you do that smart, if you have like experience of building that, you have like the economies of scale. You have like much more efficient logistics. You have much more efficient marketing. You can like attract much better talents. You can invest, for example, in your own software or in any other stuff that need to invest when doing business. And what like let's say small sellers can do, because there's like some financial restrictions, there is some other restriction on the business when it's like smaller. So yeah, so and when you have that ability, you can invest in that, and you can like grow your portfolio, your acquired portfolio faster. You can launch like new countries, new channels. Today, like a lot of like guys like know that external traffic really matters, and you need to do that like TikTok, like Instagram, like Pinterest, especially in the latest news, like with the giveaways, with all of that stuff. Also launching new products is also like isn't that easy that it was like 2 years ago, let's say this way. Yeah? So like marketplace itself and the Amazon space, as like as any market in the world, is like getting more and more mature, and as that maturity is like going on, you need to have like more sophisticated processes. You need to have like more talents to really succeed in the place. Yeah. So this is why we do believe that there's around like 100 different players in the space. So there's like 100 different Amazon aggregators all across the world. We do understand that even like 80% of them will not be successful. So maybe like 10 or 20 of them will succeed, but 80 of them will like be bankrupt or will just default. So, but that 10, 20 really have like all the opportunities to succeed, because as I said, like Amazon is getting more mature and getting more sophisticated. And to succeed in that, you need to have like more sophisticated, mature processes and tools in the place. So talking a little bit more about like Accel Club, about us, we are like originally from like CS, from Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia. Right now, like we headquartered like in Amsterdam. All our like companies, they are structured like in the US. So like we are, let's say it this way, when we making the deals, we are more like US company. In terms of like before the Accel Club, me and Max, my partner, our CEO, we also like have other great like e-com experiences. So I was like in Bus4, we built like the largest bus ticket marketplace in Eastern Europe, and we're acquired by BlaBlaCar, this like the French unicorn, for 100 million euros. And Max built like the food delivery company, the biggest one in the CAS, and it's like Yandex Eats, and it's like 1 billion company. So we have like great success like in building marketplaces by our own. Definitely, it was like in the e-com, not like in Amazon space. But like a year ago, we joined our forces and believe that we can also build something great here, taking account our experience, our operational experience, and our skills to build like great teams, great tools, and all of that. Definitely, to be here and to do something in this space, you need to attract a lot of funding, and this is also like where we believe we can, and where we are already like successful. Right now, like we've done like deals, and we are right now like in top like 500 Amazon seller. So we right now like seller by ourselves. Definitely, we haven't like launched any product in terms of like we like acquired, and this how we became that like large Amazon seller player. So we know like a lot of like stuff that is going on also in the space. So it's like really easy to talk to us, because we're not just like financial guys. Yeah, we're not like investment bankers. Like we are selling by ourselves, so we know like also like all that issues and opportunities that are in the marketplace. We have like team of 100 people, mainly in CS, some team in Amsterdam, and also some people in China and US. Like pretty building like global com player. Yeah, so it's like a little bit like more about us. I also will return at the end of the our like discussions why Accel Club, why you should like work with us, or why you should like come to us. But let's just like right now like talk about more about the space itself and about like the Amazon aggregators, so you'll better understand that, and then we'll return like why us. So that was the photo of our team. So can just like click on that.
Yes, good. Good to see you guys. Who was behind the machine?
Does this.
Yeah.
Hey, Vova, nice to meet you. Nice to be on your channel.
Yeah, great to have you guys. And I see Nick, but Klim, are you there? No, you're not in the picture, right?
No.
I don't.
Like, top team. Yeah, so it's like guys that are leading different streams in our team. Starting from acquisition, there's like on the picture like Oscar, and other guys like CF4, like Ruslan on the left, Masha, Marina, Dasha, Max, and like me, and on the right side from my side, it's like Max, my partner, and obviously, if you're working with us, definitely we'll meet like all the guys. So yeah, so we'll be happy to chat and to collaborate. So let's talk about like Amazon aggregators. Like, what is that? Why you should know about that? So let's go further, Klim. I guess like we have like more into stuff like, and let's also one more. Why we're talking about this right now? Why you should know about that? So around like 11, even like 10, 11 billion dollars in the previous 2 years were invested in the space. So it's like pretty much chunk of money, and I mean there's like right now in the world like two the hottest, I would say, like investment thesis. The first one is like dark stores. So when you open like delivery, all of that stuff, and it's also like 20 billion was invested. And the second one is like everyone is buying Amazon businesses. So I mean, you definitely need to understand like why is it happening. So definitely there's like this shift from offline to online, which was like for the years with us. But definitely COVID and 2020 years was like something incredible there. So there was like much more infusion of the capital and much more customers sitting at home and using like online shopping. They definitely this like space, they're taking like the attention from the investor side. So a lot of like this money, and this is like very interesting and very insightful to understand like what is that 10 billion. So there is like around like 2 and 3 billion of equity money. So this is the chunk of the investment that companies will get to investor the stake in the company, and they will take like that capital to use for investments, and 70%, it means like $7 billion, like is like the credit money. So it's not like the equity money, it's credit money. So all the aggregators, they usually have in their funding also like credit line, like credit money, which means they need to pay like some interest payments on that credit. Yeah, so this is very important to understand, because like it's also like give more understanding what the prices could be and how like usually aggregators work. So let's just like go further and we'll explain that.
Yeah,
So
and what's worth mentioning here, this graph, it was made a month ago and it's already outdated because Fresio raised $1 billion more. Like the space is crazy. Guys are raising money every 2 days, I think.
yeah.
Awesome.
So what does that mean? Yeah, it's really interesting to compare that with the size of the market. So the market, everyone I guess like pretty much know that Amazon itself like is like around like 400 or 500 billion a year. So like 10 billion on that scale doesn't look that strange, yeah. But definitely it's like something in absolute numbers really big. So this is why when like everyone is asking us like guys, like are there in like let's say like should be like a big inflation in the prices, yeah. So every seller just like asking like if there's like 10 billion invested, why like pricing hasn't like go like through the roof, yeah, like 10x or 20x, because like this 10 billion in the overall space, yeah, for 4 or 500 is only like 5% of the overall market, yeah. So it isn't that much, even though like the absolute number looks like enormous, like 10 billion, yeah. But if you compare that to the size of the space, it's like you know not like 10%, and they take that into account, like definitely prices for and terms that you can get as the seller is growing. They're taking more and more beneficial for you, but they are not like 3x or 10x to that what they were like 2 years ago before all this like 10 billion like came. So what's your options right now? Yeah, I'm like definitely there's like as you like to say that, yeah, like ignore, compete, or exit. Yeah, so definitely there's like this like 100 different teams that are searching for great brands to buy, and you can definitely sell your business right now to Accel Club or to any other, let's say, aggregator. Definitely better Accel Club will say why, but let's wait for the end. Yeah. But definitely can like just say, guys, like I don't care who is there, like what that aggregators are doing, and can ignore or can just compete with them. So why do you believe that? I'm like eventually you will be competing with Amazon aggregators, because we see that I'm like we are analyzing all the niches all like by weekly, yeah, and we see like how deeply all the aggregators are in different niches. And there is like no big categories or big niches where there is like no at least one aggregator right now. So plus minus all the niches, there is some aggregators already. So I'm like, you can definitely, as any, we're all sellers, so we also like feel and know that great competition is coming from China, yeah, from Chinese sellers, yeah. So they definitely are there. But also like if you see anyone else like not from China, but like from the US or from Europe, like 99% that is like aggregator in your niche, yeah, right now. And we definitely understand that there's like this like three options. When you need to ignore, when it's like a good idea to ignore your like to ignore this topic, to ignore like Amazon aggregators. If you are small enough, if you're like making less than 1 million in annual sales, then I'm like, we do believe that you don't need to carry that much. Why? Because right now, like we like and other aggregators are much more focusing on bigger niches and bigger sellers, and like on like really big like market share, yeah, metrics. And if you're like small enough, you can easily like work there, run your business, grow your business, and there's like enough space in the marketplace for you to grow. But if you have like 2, 5, 10 million business, I'm talking about like annual sales, yeah, definitely you are on radar, and definitely you're already like competing either by price or by a product or by any other metrics like with the aggregators. So what you need to know, like there's like, as I said like at the beginning, the funding that is coming for the aggregators, there's like two different parts. The first part is equity and the second one is like credit, yeah. So it means that all aggregators, they have that push and that pressure from the investors to make like earnings, to make EBITDA, to make margins. So it isn't that easy sometimes for them, for let's say for us, yeah, to focus and to target like, let's say, market share or target like revenue, yeah. So definitely we are doing that. Definitely like in mid-term, in long term, we are much more interesting increasing revenue, increasing like market share than targeting like short-term earnings, short-term EBITDA, short-term margins, yeah. So this is why like anytime you see the aggregator, and how you can see that, if you see the I mean, you can also like even share like the different tips and tricks like how to understand that this is like aggregator, because usually all aggregators using the same address for all their sellers, for all their brands. So we can easily see if it's like New York, then it's like one aggregator. If it's like Delaware, then it's the other aggregator. So it's like really easy, to understand who are you competing with. So if you see that aggregator in your niche, you need to understand that, okay, there could be this pressure by price or by targeting like more revenue, more market share, and you need to be like a little bit more smart in your competition, like using what's the biggest challenge for all the aggregators and for us, yeah, to scale creativity when you have like thousands of different products. When you have like, let's say, when you are a small seller, you have like 1 million in sale and you have like 20 SKU, definitely you can care about each SKU proportionally. You can be there, you can feel that SKU, you can feel the customer. When you have like, let's say, as Russia, for example, you have like 20,000 SKUs, or as us, we have like 1,000 SKUs, it isn't that easy, to care about each SKU and to scale that founder vision or to scale that creativity like all across the thousands of SKUs, yeah. So this is how you can compete. You can be much more like entrepreneurial, you can be much more customized in terms of like your packaging, in terms of like your marketing ideas, in terms of like some touch that you can create with the customer. Definitely it's like right now it's much harder to do like any inserts or giveaways or whatever, but if you're talking about like the external traffic or anything else, you can compete in this way, yeah. Just to better understand that all the aggregators, they can't pay that much detail to any details in the business as you can, yeah. So you have that ability, have that opportunity.
Nick, if I understand you right, man, aggregators are more interested in not the small niches where there may be a small seller selling in a super small niche and he's enjoying his time there, making some money. Actually, you're interested in bigger markets where you can enter and grow them even bigger, right?
Yeah.
Because you have the funds, you have pretty much the funds, the knowledge, of course, as well, but you're coming, if I understand right, with more money probably than the regular seller who's even maybe 7 to 8 figure or early figure, 8 figure. And you have a lot of capital, so you can compete there. And sometimes it's going to be a bit harder for the 7-figure seller, maybe 5 million a year in like big niches, if I understand right, where there's more room to compete, because you can maybe compete on price or on other things, of course, on knowledge as well. But for smaller sellers, usually you're not going to be interested in those smaller markets, because again, you have more capital, you can grow them faster, and that just makes more sense.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is the. I'm like, it's like it's very easy to understand like what we can bring. We can bring more systematic approach to the business, and I'm like, we have like team in China. Not every seller have some Chinese guys in their team. So, but it works when you have scale. It works. It gives you like more opportunity to manage your logistic efficiently, to build some software, to have like Chinese guys in your team to work closely with manufacturer, all of that stuff. But I'm like, what we definitely missing, we're missing like some very like micro details in the business, and also like maybe some micro niches which definitely exist there, because customers with the marketplace, with Amazon, they're willing to have like more customized product. There's like really small niches, and there's some opportunity that definitely stays there. And if you are there, and if you like love doing that, I'm like, this is a great time to do that even more, because as I said, like more systematic players, they are missing the opportunities. Yeah, definitely. So ignore, compete, exit definitely can compete, like based on what we've already said. Definitely can exit, definitely can ignore if you're like small enough and you're not like feeling that competition around. In terms of like exit, yeah. So let's talk about that. So as we said before, like, just like summary, there's like a lot of like aggregators. They are building that, and as we are building our strategy on buying great successful sellers. For us, like sweet spot is like 5 to 10 million in annual sales. So this is like the size that we really like. We also like, okay, with 10, 20 million seller, and but we will not go for the seller which is like selling less than 1 million a year. So we need some traction, we need some size. Yeah. If you have that business, if you have the business like that, you can right now easily sell that. So in terms of like what's the right time to do that? When? Yeah, I'm like, this is always the question. I mean, Amazon sellers, like entrepreneur as we are, and this is always a good question. When? Yeah, I'm like, so we do believe that in terms of like the right timing. Yeah, I'm like, every business has like different stages. There's like launching, there's like growth stage, there's like maturity, and there's like decline. Definitely need to somehow like assess whether you believe that you are somewhere in the maturity stage. This is definitely the biggest chance for you. It isn't like that easy for us to take that, because I'm like, we need to understand like how we will bring this business to another to other heights. But in terms like for you, definitely you need to just like feel whether you are at some like maturity, at some like plateau, yeah, stage. Then definitely it's like a good time to sell, because if you are growing like hell, you definitely would like to have that in price. And a lot of buyers, I mean, we are trying to incorporate that in terms, but a lot of buyers will not like incorporate that in terms. So they just like say, okay, the size of the business right now is this. Let's go with these terms. Yeah. So definitely for you, the great one of the criteria should be whether you feel that you are at some kind of like plateau maturity. If you feel that, it's definitely a great sign that you need to think about like selling your business. The next is definitely you need to understand that as Amazon is getting more and more sophisticated, and as you get like some volume, like you have like 2 or 3 or 5 million sales a year, you need to become more CEO, not just like founder, not just like seller. So you need to have some team, you need to understand how to work with external service providers, you need to understand how to build like processes, because I'm like, Amazon is getting more and more sophisticated. You need to use more and more tools, you need to be more and more sophisticated in your approaches. So to do that, you need great talents, you need great team, you need great tools there. And to do that, you need to become CEO, like chief executive officer, yeah, not like founder. So if you don't like invest in people, if you don't like, to gather like not like 6 or 5 people group, but if you don't like to have like 20, 30 people in your team, I'm like, there's a lot of like entrepreneurs who just don't like that. I'm like, they look at that and saying, guys, it's more corporate work than real entrepreneurship. Yeah. So we do believe that if you don't like that, you need to understand that, yeah, like you need to think about exit, because without team, without great talents, without like funnel in terms of like hiring, in terms of like building the processes, it's really will be harder and harder to succeed on Amazon, as like in any niche which is getting more and more mature. Yeah. So if you feel that like plateau, if you feel that you don't like anymore that much like that entrepreneurship, like entrepreneurial like road that you have, your journey that you have, and you need to bring more people, more processes, and you really like don't like that, definitely think about exit. Because I'm like, as usual, yeah, when you don't know something, it isn't the problem, you can learn that. If you have like great talents, it isn't the problem, you can bring them. But the biggest problem is usual when you don't have enough energy to do that. And if you feel that you're in some kind of like plateau, you don't feel that like touch with your business, you don't feel like the right, that it's like feels right, yeah, I'm like, definitely is a great moment to think about the exit. And it's really cool that like in Amazon space, you have that opportunity, because there is not that many space in business where you can easily sell your business. Yeah, it's really great that like today and like a year ago and maybe like year 2 or 3 years after, there will be this opportunity to just like say, okay, I'm enough is enough. I would like to sell that and just sell that business. Yeah. Let's go then further, like in talk about like
just to sum it up, if I understand you right, Klim, can you get the previous slide, man, just to see if I understood you right? The good time to sell, or at least from what you're saying, is we're looking at the graph now in the maturity. So I would say that, again, from perspective of some of my products, it seems like we've gotten all the top positions on Amazon. Okay, the product is doing some sort of revenue per month, for example, $20,000. It doesn't go any further. Just talking about one product. Of course, you can have many, but like one product, and it seems like, okay, we're pretty much everywhere. All the keywords are maxed out. Pretty much that's it. And of course, we can bring external traffic. There's endless things to do, but seems like it's sort of matured, this product, right? Maybe all your line of product is matured, right? And you're not yet declining. You're somewhere on the, as I mentioned, plateau. So that could be a good time to sell. All right, before I hit the plateau, which probably in markets it happens. I'm sorry, before you hit the decline, right? Which probably and usually happens in markets where you just might hit the decline with the product, even any product, I would say sometimes. So before you hit that, you can think of selling. And also, if you are an entrepreneur who's an Amazon seller, who's like, so to say, Amazon entrepreneur, you usually get to a place where you gotta build a team because you can't do it alone anymore, or even with a partner, you need a team. And maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you're not interested in, as you mentioned, becoming the chief executive officer because you need to manage more people, and then you're just feeling like you're back to corporate or something like that, rather than being this, cool kind of just Amazon seller where you have like maybe a small team and you're making a few millions per year, living the good life. So maybe that's another option for you to say, okay, before I get back into creating a huge system, which is fine, not everybody wants to do that, then it's also another good opportunity to say enough and I want to sell the business. Okay, I understand. If that's
this is it. Yeah, like, and there's like what we try and usually do, like we're talking to hundreds of sellers like monthly, and we really feel that whether sellers like really understand why they would like to exit, and it's like so great to work with them because I'm like, everyone is aligned, you just like understand each other and really quickly like negotiate the terms and just go. And we can like also like help you, and sometimes we're just saying, guys, like, you're not ready to sell, so let's not like even like talk about that. We can help you with like advice, like on terms, on whatever, but we just like see that I'm like, it's not right time for you to exit. Yeah, so like just like stay with that, try to grow that further. You have a lot of great ideas. We feel that you're really excited about that, so just keep that for that like 1 quarter or 2 quarter, and then just can come back to that idea. Yeah, so yeah, like it's you need to feel that. You need to say, okay, I need to sell that. Then it works perfectly. In terms of like the let's go to and talk about like terms. Yeah, like I guess this also is something that's really interesting for sellers. Yeah, so terms, processes, and maybe can you just like go one slide back? Yeah, so
How to
and
prepare a
also
business
how to
practice.
prepare. Yeah, so if you believe that you somehow approaching plateau, or you would like to constrain something else in life, like SaaS business or whatever, so definitely there is some like professional hygiene that need to be in place. Yeah, and there is something that will increase your terms, will increase the valuation. So definitely there should be like any problem with IP rights, like trademark registrations, any IP infringement. So definitely you need to make sure that it's like in place and it's all right. Definitely it's hard, for example, to have like your trademark registered in China, because usually all the trademarks is already registered in China. But if you're selling in the US, definitely USPTO should be registered. All that should be in good place. The second one is like definitely if you understand that you would like to sell, you definitely need to you just try to work on your profitability. Definitely you will not increase that twice, but there's usually like 10-15% increase. Like if you have like, let's say 18% like margin, you definitely can make that 20% with some like PPC like optimization, with some like packaging optimization, with more like fulfillment optimization, 3PL, like logistics. Just like try to focus on that, and you will see like there's always like 10-15% optimization always. I'm not talking about like twice, yeah, but we've seen like a few sellers among like 1,000 that can't like make that like 10 or 15% increase in profitability. So if you focus on that, it will work out, and it definitely will increase your valuation, because profitability really matters for any buyers and for us especially. So focus on hero SKUs and on specific categories. So what's that like if you do understand that you would like to sell, if you do understand that you will sell like in half a year or whatever, definitely there is some like asset that you not like realize in your hero SKUs, because definitely there's like much longer to to boost like your, let's say, not priority SKUs. Yeah, so try to work on that, try to focus on that. It's always also any buyer like, and we also would definitely be much more happy and will offer more if there is like, let's say, 5 hero SKUs with the same numbers, versus if there is like 50 SKUs with the same volume, all that stuff, then we will offer more for 5 hero SKUs. So it's always like easier for us operationally. And your positions are better. So like it's always better business when you have like more hero SKUs. Also, the same is working with the channels. I mean, like everyone is talking about Walmart, everyone is talking about like other marketplaces, about Shopify. But I also like to really have something significant there, you need to invest like a year at least, a lot of also resources, all of that stuff. It will definitely will decrease your profitability, all that stuff. So if you believe that you will be exiting like in half a year or in several quarters, definitely concentrate on Amazon. It's better to sell to the buyer. It's better to sell, to say to us that, guys, you have that opportunity with Walmart, you have that opportunity with Shopify, you have that opportunity with any other, then have like Shopify in place and have Walmart in place, poorly managed. And we just say, guys, yeah, there's Walmart, but it's like it's nothing. So it's better, to remain that opportunity on the table and say about that, not just poorly execute that. Yeah, because like every poor execution is like decreasing your valuation. Focus on growing your brand in the US market. This also is usual. Like US is the deepest market in the world. So I mean, like there is no brand, for example, in France with the same numbers that will be valued as it was if it was like in US. Yeah, so US market is always the biggest one. It's always the more favorable one. Maintaining account health is also very important for any buyer, because all the review manipulations, all of that stuff. I'm like, we invest, we're giving you like cash today and hope that we will return that in several years. So any risks, like any significant risk with Amazon account health or whatever, is definitely like risk for us. So we definitely will be like discontinue your valuation if there is something. Automate and simplify, definitely. Like any buyer would like to have like less sophisticated business in place than more sophisticated. Also, like what's very important is like to make sure that you have all your P&L, all your records in place, so we can easily track your expenses, all of that stuff. So it really helps, to really quickly assess the business and then validate that the assessment is correct, and go to the due diligence and go to the execution of the APA, like as purchase agreement papers, and just like make the deal. Yeah.
So Nick, if I understand right, man, just beforehand, Klim, can you take it back? Just because sometimes I see that viewers like to hear some sort of little sum up. Okay, so then if I don't understand, maybe you can explain something. So first, how to prepare a business for exit. So if we want to sell our business, what should we do before we do it? So we come to the aggregator sort of ready, right? So we can sell faster and for more, right? If I understand, right? And that's what all we want. You guys want to do it faster and technically pay more because it's worth more, and we want to get more and sell it faster because we want to make a bit more money. So it's everybody wins. So trademarks, everything, patents, don't be infringing someone else's patent, have it all in place, pretty easy, right? And then profitability, if you can increase a little bit, sometimes, as you mentioned, Nick, you can do that through improving a little bit of PPC. You can hire maybe someone, or just lower down your prices by hiring a sourcing agent. You can, and I think everybody can do that, at least as you mentioned, like 10, 15%, fine. Then if you have a few SKUs, hero SKUs, the ones that are doing very well, it's better to have a few rather than having like hundreds of little SKUs all around that generate the same profit maybe. Rather have a few, it's easier to manage, that's true. Gotta agree with that for sure. Concentrate on Amazon. If you have any other ways of getting some like profits on the Shopify or Walmart, it's pretty cool, but you want to see like Amazon is the main one. If you have others, that's pretty cool as well, but you got to have like Amazon as the main, I believe, strongest revenue generating and profit generating machine. Focus on growing your brand in the US. Again, if you have the brand in the US, that's pretty much the strongest market of Amazon probably. Have it there, it helps, right? Maintain account health, no manipulations, no BS like that. Automate and simplify. We have processes ready in place, automations put in place. It helps. Again, you take it easily and just start working on it. By the way, good book recommendation, in my opinion, would be here is Build to Sell, John Varillo. Maybe any of you guys read. Build to Sell is a little story of somebody who wants to sell his business. He's all over the place, not automated, not systemized. He talks with a mentor. Well, I won't spoil too much. Good book, so automate and simplify. Keep track of all your records, of course. Again, having everything in place. Maybe again, all your processes, maybe all your money as well, spent in, out, pretty much. So I would say that can help, right, to be ready to sell your business.
So let's go then to process. Yeah. So like how the process looks like. Yeah. So with any aggregator and with us, yeah, I'm like there's definitely this like assessment stage. Yeah, we would definitely will sign NDA to make sure that your information that you're sharing with us will be like confidential. So we have like introduction call, then sign NDA. We've got like 24 months financial from you. Then we will prepare like in 2 days like offer. So we'll say, okay, like we sit and this is like what the valuation could look like based on the information that you provided. If you're okay with that, we sign like letter of intent. So this is like the first document that after NDA is signing, meaning that we are willing to buy from you, you are willing to sell to us. Based on that information that you provided us, the terms will be this way. Then there's like due diligence part. For us, I'm like, and this is like really, really the most important part, like why working with us, like we're really like very fast in due diligence. We're trying to make that, like we do know already like a lot about like Amazon business. What's due diligence? Yeah, we just need to make sure that information that you provided us is correct, so that we are assessing your business on the right numbers. And with Amazon, it's really easy because like everything except cost of goods sold could be pulled from Amazon. So we're doing that like really fast, really like painless. And what we're concentrating for this we're doing that like for 2 or 3 weeks, it's just really, really fast. We are concentrating on definitely validate your cost of goods sold, because it's not like in Amazon. So you need to make sure that it's correct. The second one, we definitely will check whether Amazon health is good. And as far as we believe that like cost of goods sold is good, and your Amazon health is good, I'm like, here we're done. Yeah, so there is nothing more to really care about, because everything else is like from Amazon. You can like exaggerate that number, so it's like easy to check. Usually we, after 1 week of the diligence, we already start like integration part. So we already like taking like customer support letters, all of that stuff from you. But for us, this is not the diligence part. For us, it's like integration part. Yeah. So usually with us, like in one maximum 2 weeks, you already will be know that okay, everything is good, and you already will be having like the paper on your side, like we call them that APA, asset purchase agreement. Yeah, so this is also like very important. If you're talking about US businesses, we are buying assets. We're not buying your entity. So we are buying your trademark, we are buying your Amazon account, and we're buying your stock. So this is why it's asset purchase agreement, not like stock purchase agreement or entity purchase agreement. Yeah, so it's like asset purchase agreement. So you will have like that like on your side. You read that through. We make maybe some amendments if you don't like some clauses, all that stuff. We sign that, and that's it. I'm like 3-4 weeks, and we're done. You've got your money, we've got your account and your business, and we are happy to grow that further.
Sounds easy, man. Like,
Yeah. I'm like, it's
I mean, if you come prepared, and as we mentioned one of the previous slides, you come prepared, and then you guys do all the process mentioned in the previous slide, then in a few weeks we can already know if we're good to sell.
Yeah, it's like in 1 week we're good to know that we are good to sell, and in 3-4 weeks we're already sold. Yeah, so I'm like, seller already sold, we already bought. Yeah, so like it's really easy. And it's like why it's so, because there's like Amazon in place. Because like in usual M&A, you need to check all the revenue streams, all of that stuff. But with Amazon, you can't exaggerate numbers in Amazon in Seller Central. You can't like fake that. We just log in your Seller Central, and we see all the numbers, all the revenues, all the PPC spend, all the Amazon fees spent, everything, except cost of goods sold. So what we are concentrating for that 1 week, we are checking whether your cost of goods sold is good. If we say that it's good, then that's it. So we don't need any problem with cost of goods sold, and we don't need any problem with Amazon health. As far as we're okay with that, that's it, and there's nothing to check. This is why it's really like fast, because there's Amazon like, and this is why all this like roll ups, all this like Amazon aggregators, there's a lot of them, because like it's not that hard to buy businesses. It's hard to operate businesses and run further, but it's not that hard to buy businesses. In terms of like the criteria, yeah. So as I mentioned previously, yeah, we are looking for at least 1 million in revenue. We're definitely looking for price labels, so no dropshipping, no wholesaling, all of that stuff, at least for now. Yeah, so it's like for only private labels. Definitely like mainly Amazon, US, Canada, Germany, and UK. We're not doing like supplements, and we're not doing like any products that like heavily rely on R&D. So like some trendy stuff, like we just not buying like spinners or whatever. We're just not buying that, because there's like very short lifetime, and we don't believe that it will be enough for us to get the money back. So this like seller criteria, yeah. So in terms of like why Accel Club, yeah. So we're definitely paying more than average on market. We definitely believe that we have like a really great operational team in place. So you will be definitely know that your brand in the heart of our operations, and really care about that, really growing that. And it's also important for you, because the part of the valuation of the total consideration is like earn out. So that there is some part that you will get based on the performance. And so you really need to care about performance. What is also great about us, that we do know that we are buying businesses, but we always know that we're doing that with people. So it's all for us. It's always personal. Even though we are buying businesses, yeah. So, but me and Max always like happy to chat, to negotiate terms if you need that with us. Definitely, Klim and the team is there, but we also like believe that direct communication with the founders could also help sellers to really feel the Accel Club, and to really understand that they are making a great deal. So we always like there, and the deal structure also like pretty flexible. I would say like much more flexible than the market average. And also like for a lot of like US structured sellers businesses, it's much easier to sell to US structured business as we are like Accel Club Incorporated. We're based like incorporated like in Delaware, so it's easier than to some European or whatever entities. So this is like let's say the most important stuff about us. But yeah, we do believe that we're making great deals. So let's talk. Yeah, I'm like let's talk.
Yeah, as a seller, man, I would say it would be nice for me to know that my brand, because honestly, some people say don't be connected to your products emotionally. Okay, I can understand, but still, we put our heart and soul into that. Well, many of us at least. We want to know that when we hand it to new hands, they will take care of our customers, of what we've built. And when we hand it to professional people that really care, right? And we can even contact them. As you mentioned, you can talk to the founders, you can talk to the team, get to know who you're talking to. It's much more nice, in my opinion, to do so. Plus, of course, for those who have US businesses, you're working with the US business pretty much, so much easier to do that. Yeah, so we're going to have, of course, all your links down in the description if people want to contact you, to ask, to get in touch, as you mentioned, if you need any sort of assistance. Of course, specifically, guys are professionals in that specific field of being an aggregator, but generally, as we've talked before, Nick, it's always good to talk, to get to know more people.
Yeah, like we're more than happy, to give advice like on the exiting. Yes, so like if you have any question about like selling the business, maybe you have some questions about like legal documents, because it's also like something that's really important here. So any question about like exiting the business, exiting Amazon business, like even if you're not considering selling it to us or whatever, I'm like we really happy to answer that. We would, I mean, we already are and would like to remain and even like be more the like ecosystem player, to be like in the space. And for us it's really important to help sellers, because I'm like sellers coming to us, they giving us their brands. So I'm like we really feel that we also like need to contribute not only like great exits for the sellers, but also like great terms and also like maybe some great advice for the sellers.
So also, as I mentioned, link in the description, I'm affiliated with the Accel Club. So it means if you ever do a business with them and you mention my name, which I would really appreciate, I'm going to get a little commission from you running that deal. No extra cost to you, but I will really be grateful. And this way you can support my free content that I share here for the world of Amazon sellers. Klim, to you, man, thank you for connecting me and Nick and doing all this today. I really appreciate that. That's big thanks to you. Nick, thank you to coming for sharing your knowledge, man. I think it's very interesting for sellers to know. Again, all the links are down in the description for our dear viewers. And thank you guys. Appreciate your time today.
It's a pleasure being on your channel, Vova. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
Nick, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Bye, guys.